morning, students. This is video number 3 of the chapter Population, Distribution, Density, Growth and Composition. Now I shall continue with the same. In my last second video, I had ended up with the topic population composition. We had done rural-urban composition of the population. Here I will show you one table showing the percentage of urban population in the country and the years. Like in 1901, the percentage was 10.85%, whereas in 2011, it increased to 31.16. So you can see this table. It shows us clearly the distribution of urban population, the percentage of urban population in the various years and how much did it grow with the passing years. Now today I shall do the linguistic composition of the population. Now India, as we know, it is a land of linguistic diversity. According to the Grayson, it is Linguistic Survey of India from in 1903 to 1928. There were 179 languages and as many as 544 dialects in the country. In the context of modern India, that is according to 2011 survey, there are 22 scheduled languages and a number of non-scheduled languages. The number of non-scheduled languages is 99. This is according to the 8th schedule. It specifies clearly among the scheduled languages, the speakers of Hindi have the highest percentage, that is 96.71. The smallest language groups are Sanskrit, Bodo, Manipuri. Kashmiri was also one of the languages which was spoken by very few, but Bodo and Manipuri, they still have a very less number of speakers. This is all according to 2011 survey. However, it is noticed that the linguistic regions in the country do not have a sharp and distinct boundary. This is something very important. What I mean by this is that there are two states close by. Okay. But what this sentence means that these two districts, they do not have sharp boundaries when we talk of languages. Okay. I'll just read it out once again. The linguistic regions in the country do not have a sharp and distinct boundary. Rather, they gradually merge and overlap in their respective frontier zones. वो एक दूसरे में मर्ज हो रहे हैं. उधर के बोलने वाले उस लैंग्वेज बोलने वाले इधर भी आ रहे हैं, इधर के बोलने वाले उधर भी जा रहे हैं. ओके, डिस्टिंक्ट शार्प डिस्टिंक्ट बाउंड्रीज नहीं खींची हुई है. Next is linguistic classification. The speakers of major Indian languages belong to 4 language families, which have their subfamilies and branches or groups. So, this I will explain you from a table. Now, linguistic classification of modern languages. So, in India, we have so many languages which have evolved with time. Now, we have the ability to give words to our thoughts. Our survival and social interaction depends on this, isn't it? The speakers of major Indian languages belong to 4 major language families, as I told you, which have their subfamilies and major branches or groups. So, here is the table in front of you, students. You can see there are 4 distinct families, language families. These are the subfamilies. These are the branches or groups, and these are the areas where these languages are spoken. The most spoken language is Indo-European. 73% of the people speak this language. And 20% speak Dravidian, 0.85 speak Sino-Tibetan, and 1.38 speak Austric. Okay. They belong, not actually speak, they belong to this family. Okay. So let us first take the Indo-European family. This forms the foundation of modern speaking languages in India. Okay, modern languages have their origin In the Indo-European, Indo-Aryan family, it has many branches, and all the modern languages belong to the Indo-Aryan group. Okay, so you can see Iranian, Dardic, Indo-Aryan, these are the branches or groups, and it is spread out over mostly in outside India, in Pakistan and all that north western part of India. Then Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, UP, Rajasthan, Haryana, MP, Bihar, Orissa, West Bengal, Assam and Gujarat. One of its branches also came towards Bengal. So all these people, they speak this language. Second is Dravidian. 20% comes under this family, and it is also spread out over in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, MP, Orissa, Maharashtra, Bihar, Orissa, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh. Okay. Then we have the Austric. It 1.38% belong to this family, and it is spoken in Meghalaya, Nicobar Islands, West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Assam, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and outside India. And then we have the Sino-Tibetan. So it is spoken in Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura and Meghalaya. Next is religious composition. Now we know that religion, it is one of the most dominant forces which affects the cultural and political life of the majority of the Indians. Now, since religion virtually permeates into almost all the aspects of people's family and community lives, it is important that we study the religious composition also in detail. So let's see what is the religious composition of the Indians. The spatial distribution of religious communities in the country, which is in Appendix 5, we have the details over there. It shows that there are certain states and districts having large numerical strength of only one religion, while the same may be very negligibly represented in other states. तो इंडिया में ऐसा है कि कहीं पे सिर्फ एक ही रिलीजन की प्रीडोमिनेंस है और कहीं कहीं पे नहीं है. Because Hindus, they are distributed as a major group in many states, ranging from 70 to 90% and above, except the districts of states along Indo-Bangladesh border, Indo-Pak border, Jammu and Kashmir, hill states of northeast, and in scattered areas of Deccan Plateau and Ganga Plain. तो हिंदूज़ की मेजॉरिटी सब जगह, कहीं पे 70%, कहीं पे 80%, कहीं पे 90%, लेकिन कुछ एरियाज़ ऐसे हैं वहाँ पे हिंदूज़ की पॉपुलेशन बहुत कम है. नाउ दिस टेबल इट गिव्स अस द डिटेल ऑफ ऑल द castes of India. Like Hindus, we have 79.8% total, Muslims 14.2, Christians 2.3, Sikhs 1.7, Buddhists 0.7, Jains 0.4, and other religions and persuasions ORP, they are 0.7, and religion not stated is 0.2. So Muslims, it is the largest religious minority. जो minorities में उनमें सबसे बड़ा group Muslims का है. They are concentrated mainly in Jammu and Kashmir, then in certain districts of West Bengal and Kerala, many districts of Uttar Pradesh, in and around Delhi, and in Lakshadweep. So they form majority in the Kashmir Valley and Lakshadweep. कश्मीर वैली और लक्षद्वीप में तो इनकी मेजॉरिटी है, बहुत ज़्यादा मुस्लिम्स वहाँ रहते हैं. जो क्रिश्चियन पॉपुलेशन है, it is distributed mostly in rural areas of the country. The main concentration is observed along the western coast around Goa, Kerala, and also in the hill states of Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Chota Nagpur area, and hills of Manipur. तो क्रिश्चियंस का जो है वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन जो है उनका ज़्यादातर रूरल एरियाज़ में है. एंड गोवा में तो स्पेशली देर आर मेनी चर्चेज ऑल्सो, यू कैन सी ओवर देयर. So Christians are, the number of Christian population is more over there. Now Sikhs, they are mostly concentrated in relatively small area of the country, particularly in the states of Punjab, Haryana and Delhi. Jains and Buddhists, They are the smallest religious group in India and they have their concentration only in selected areas of the country. Jains have major concentration in the urban areas of Rajasthan, Gujarat and Maharashtra, while the Buddhists are concentrated mostly in Maharashtra. The other areas of Buddhist majority are Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Ladakh in Jammu and Kashmir, Tripura and Lahul and Spiti in Himachal Pradesh. The other religions of India include Zoroastrians, tribal and other indigenous faiths and beliefs. These groups are concentrated in small pockets scattered throughout the country. So this is all about our religious composition. Now we come to the last topic of this chapter, composition of the working population. Now working population, it is according to their economic status, it is divided into three groups. First is main workers, second is marginal workers, and third is non-workers. It is observed that in India the proportion of workers, both main and marginal, is 30.8% according to 2011 census, leaving a vast majority of about 60% as non-workers. This indicates an economic status in which there is a larger proportion of dependent population. 60% non-workers है ना? So most of them are non-workers category में, in which there is a proportion of dependent population, further indicating possible existence of large number of unemployed or underemployed people. So वर्किंग पॉपुलेशन हमारे इंडिया में बहुत कम है और नॉन वर्कर्स डिपेंडेंट्स ज़्यादा हैं. What is the work participation rate? Okay. The proportion of working population of the states and union territories show a moderate variation from about 39.6% in Goa to about 49.9% in Daman and Diu. तो जो वर्किंग पॉपुलेशन है उसमें भी वेरिएशंस है, किसी स्टेट में ज़्यादा हैं, किसी में कम हैं. द स्टेट्स विथ लार्जर परसेंटेजेस ऑफ वर्कर्स आर इन हिमाचल प्रदेश, सिक्किम, छत्तीसगढ़, आंध्र प्रदेश, कर्नाटका, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, नागालैंड, मणिपुर एंड मेघालय. Among the union territories, Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu have higher participation rate. It is understood that in the context of a country like India, the work participation rate tends to be highest in the areas of lower levels of economic development, since number of manual workers are needed to perform the subsistence or near subsistence economic activities. The number of working population is more in the areas where more manual labor is required, because agriculture is our main occupation and we are mostly dependent upon manual labor for agriculture. So lot of manual labor is required for that. The occupation composition of India's population, which actually means engagement of an individual in farming, manufacturing, trade, services, or any kind of professional activities, show a large proportion of primary sector workers compared to secondary and tertiary sectors. About 54.6% of the total working population are cultivators and agricultural laborers, whereas only 3.8% of workers are engaged in household industries. तो देखो ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, 54.6 तो they are actually agricultural laborers, cultivators, etc. 3.8 workers, they are engaged in household industries. 41.6% in other workers are other workers including non-household industries, trade, commerce, construction and repair and other services. As far as the occupation of country's male and female population is concerned, male workers outnumber female workers in all the three sectors. Now next is promoting gender sensitivity through Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao social campaign. The division of the society into male, female, and transgender is believed to be natural and biological. But in reality, there are social constructs and roles assigned to individuals which are reinforced by social institutions. Consequently, these biological differences become the basis of social differentiations, discriminations, and exclusions. The exclusion of over half of the population becomes a serious handicap to any developed and civilized society. It is a global challenge which has been acknowledged by the UNDP when it mentioned that if development is not engendered, it is endangered. SDR UNDP in 1995. Discrimination in general and gender discrimination in particular is a crime against humanity. So, gender equality should be there. Actually, in India, the problem was that there was gender inequality was very prominent. Female education was not encouraged, and even at workplaces, the females did not get any importance. Their salaries, wages were low, and there were many other problems. So, even the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, it has been mentioned, is development is not engendered. Engendered, it gives rise to, then it is endangered. अगर वो engendered नहीं होगा तो वो endanger हो जाएगा, क्योंकि discrimination, especially gender discrimination, it is a crime against humanity. ये एक तरह का crime है. All efforts need to be made to address the denial of opportunities of education, employment, political representation, low wages for similar types of work, disregard to their entitlement to live a dignified life, etc. A society which fails to acknowledge and take effective measures to remove such discriminations cannot be treated as a civilized one. जिस सोसाइटी में फीमेल्स को इक्वल दर्जा नहीं मिलता है तो वो एक आज की तारीख में सिविलाइज्ड नहीं कहलवाएगी. The Government of India has duly acknowledged the adverse impacts of these discriminations and launched a nationwide campaign, Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao. Okay. The 2000 occupational categories 2011 census has divided the working population of India into four major categories: cultivators, agricultural laborers, household industrial workers, and other workers. Now, this is the sectoral composition of workforce in India: primary, secondary, and tertiary, and the number of males and females involved in each sector. So, the number of female workers is relatively high in primary sector, though in recent years there has been some improvement in work participation of women in secondary and tertiary sector. In the recent years, more women are joining the secondary and tertiary sector. It is important to note that the proportion of workers in the agricultural sector in India has shown a decline over the last few decades. That is 58.2% in 2001 and 54.6% in 2011. Consequently, the participation rate in secondary and tertiary sector has registered an increase. This indicates the shift of dependence of workers from farm-based occupations to non-farm-based ones. तो अब tertiary या secondary sector में पार्टिसिपेशन लोगों का ज़्यादा बढ़ रहा है एज कम्पेयर टू द एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर. द स्पेशल वेरिएशन ऑफ वर्क पार्टिसिपेशन रेट इन डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स इन द कंट्री is very wide. For instance, the states like Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland have very large shares of cultivators. On the other hand, states like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Madhya Pradesh have higher proportion of agricultural laborers. The highly urbanized areas like Delhi, Chandigarh, Puducherry have a very large proportion of workers being engaged in other services. This indicates not only availability of limited farming land but also large scale urbanization and industrialization requiring more workers in the non farming sector. तो कहीं कहीं पे वर्कर्स जो है नॉन फार्मिंग एक्टिविटीज़ में भी इन्वॉल्व है. दैट इज़ बिकॉज ऑफ लार्ज स्केल अर्बनाइजेशन इन दोज प्लेसेस and due to less availability of cultivable land. So this finishes our chapter. Thank you, children.